What's up, everybody? Short guy dating tips, how to get the girl. I'm excited to start this channel primarily because I believe these tips are going to help a lot of guys out there. Now, to preface this, I myself am a short man by international standards. I'm about 5'3", 164 centimeters, 163 centimeters, and in the United States, I had some luck with dating, as I've always been somewhat of a personable figure. I've always had interests. I've always had hobbies. I've always tried to go to social events and whatnot. But I would say that I've not had the success in the United States that I've had in many other countries. And what you're going to learn on this dating journey is that not only can places be better in terms of dating, but they can be better in other ways as well. So, for instance, you might have more work opportunities in different countries. You might more easily make friends. People might want to, invite you to social gatherings, parties more often. Places might be cheaper. You might get, more value for your dollar. So, as you dive into this dating realm, just keep an open mind because there's so much about international living that's going to benefit your life. And of course, dating is one of those aspects. Now, as a short man in the United States, I believe short is defined as under 5'8", 5'7" for the U.S., but what most people don't take into account is that actually the United States is a taller country compared to the whole world. It's not the tallest country. I believe maybe Estonia or one of those Eastern European countries are the tallest in the world. But in terms of the U.S., it's a taller nation. So even if you're considered short in the United States, Australia, Canada, you're probably going to be considered average, at least in some of these other countries like South America, Southeast Asia, not Eastern Europe, actually, and that's one of the good places to travel. But there are many countries in the world where just because you're short in your country that you've been born in, you might not be short in another country, relatively speaking. All right, let's keep going. And so that's just the idea of framing, what is tall, what is short. And what you have to learn is that the United States is a country which is highly, highly selective. The men in the United States are the top 1% of the world because they have a huge earning capacity. Therefore, even if you're an average Joe earning $4,000, $5,000 a month, you're going to be top 1% of the world. If you go to Vietnam, if you go to Philippines, if you go to India, some country in South America, you're going to automatically be placed higher because of your income status. And that's just the most obvious one. There's also many cultural differences. I wouldn't say it's true that everybody in the world wants to immigrate to the United States. Usually if they do, it's because they want to have more work opportunities. But in general, from my travel experiences, locals from Southeast Asia, locals from Europe, most people like their own country. The only problem is that when they can't earn any money, then they start to look elsewhere to, basically survive and continue on their DNA genes pool through reproductive success. Now, of course, this gets us into the female version of it. What are these women in these third world, second world countries thinking? Some of them are thinking to use men in order to climb that social ladder, in order to climb that international ladder now. Because you're not just competing with people in one country, now you're competing with people in every country in terms of dating, in terms of work, in terms of basically everything now. We have a global society. So say you are a woman in Cambodia, you come from a poor family, but, you look out on the genes pool, you're like a 8 out of 10, you're a very attractive woman. You can either date a local man who's earning $200 a month, and that's like most local men, and you're pretty much stuck there for your whole life. Maybe you have a child, but maybe it has a disease, you can't afford to take it to the hospital because your husband doesn't have enough money. and then your DNA ends there, your lineage ends. So it's in the female reproductive success mindset to find the man that has the most money, if they can't make their own money themselves, to continue on the lineage of both themselves and their children. So then the other option that woman has is, we can see that Cambodia has about 8 million tourists. I need to double check that. Maybe, I think it's a little lower. Cambodia has about 5 million tourists a year. She could go latch on to one of those guys who's making, 5,000 per month back in his home country. He starts loving her. He starts sending her $1,000 a month. Now she's living 4 times the local minimum wage, which most people have to work full time for. And the man now gets to procreate, have a child with a beautiful woman, and take those genes. So that's a win-win scenario for both parties involved. And especially with the way Western women are going, they're not treating their Western men up to par. Essentially, it's like a reverse of the man scenario. Like, the men in the Western countries are top 1% of the world, but actually the Western women, they're kind of like, they're like the bottom 1% of the world in terms of what most men are looking for. Most men want, in terms of family, they want loyalty. They want at least an attractive woman. They want a woman who's not severely obese, because not only is it just instinctually not attractive, but it's not healthy for the baby. If you have an obese woman that gives a child, there's a high likelihood that child will have serious problems in the future. Therefore, we're having this reverse system of where the top 1% of women, in terms of what men are looking for, are now based overseas in more traditionalist societies, such as, in Southeast Asia, like Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, South America, like Colombia is a big one among quote-unquote passport bros, and international enthusiasts alike. So now you see that what happens in a markets tend to find their fair value over time. And we could see that with men in the West. We're seeing passport bros as a movement rise up drastically, especially among social media sites like TikTok. You can easily see the top quote-unquote 1% of each sex meeting each other. So the males and the females are finding each other in the world. Especially now in the technological age, you can find women through dating apps, before even wasting money on plane tickets. Now, that's another issue to discuss. But with being a short man, here's my advice. You have to look at the world as a bigger picture. Just in your country, you might be considered short, but in another country, you might not be considered short. You could be considered average, maybe even tall, man. And I want you to start gaining your self-confidence from internal factors, okay? So look at yourself. Do you believe that you are a good person? What actions have you seen within yourself to prove that? And that's the biggest thing, because when you start doing things to help other people, when you start doing things to influence your community, you know that you're a good person regardless of your height. Now, this isn't going to be a religious channel, but I personally believe that, we're all made by a creator whom I will call Jesus and God, and that we have a purpose. And I respect everybody who doesn't believe that, but we have a creator. You can call him what you want, unless you're agnostic or atheist. And I believe we're made perfectly the way we are. You don't have to completely, do these crazy things that a lot of short men are doing. Like, if you go into these forums, there's these short guys that are like going to China and breaking their legs, hoping they can get 2 inches taller. And it's just ridiculous, man. Because now not only are you not thinking of the possible future repercussions, but you're not grateful for what you have, which is working legs, working knees, a working body, which you should try and take advantage of to the most, because there are people in the world that don't place such a high influence on it, like in the West. And even in the West, like I said, I had some girlfriends, but I had a much bigger success than I would have if I had only stayed in the U.S. Like, traveling has given me a massive, eye-opener into the world, because I've had such huge success. I've dated such incredibly beautiful women, such nice women, such caring women, that I know I never would have done in the U.S. Like in the US, I was getting fives, sixes in terms of just looks, and maybe people that weren't so interesting to me. But in Southeast Asia, I've had a lot more success. I haven't gone to South America yet. I'd still like to try that. But I think you just need to branch out. Branch out, keep an open mind, keep a positive mind. Because for men, even if you're a short man, you're going to have a long life. And this is a marathon. That's the difference between men and women. For men, it's a long marathon. We continually grow. We continually build ourselves, build our friendships, build our knowledge, and we get more and more success as life goes on. Women, it's really a race. They have to race to find the best guy within just a couple years span. So there's a lot more pressure on the women's side, actually. So if you want to live life on hard mode, just stay in the West, keep dating these women that have these huge expectations. It's basically like playing a video game on hard mode, man. You don't have to live life like that. If you want to have, an easier time, just try dating internationally. Try dating overseas. Heck, even just pay for Tinder Gold. It's only like $15, $20. Set your location to another country. Do some research. But if you want some recommendations, of course, Thailand is one of the big ones. Philippines is probably, I don't want to make anyone mad here, but it's probably the easiest place to find a girlfriend for an American, just because of the cultural connections between the two countries. Even if you're short, the average Filipino is going to be much shorter than you. And besides that, they kind of value different things besides height in these countries. Another recommendation would be Colombia. I have not been there, but I've heard a lot of passport bros having success there. I've matched with some chicks there before, and they seem really nice. So those could be some places to start, and then you'll realize that as you continue on your international dating and traveling journey, that there are levels to this game. There's the entry-level countries. There's the deeper-level countries which you go if, you have the courage, if you have the exploratory mindset of going to new places. And let me tell you one thing, especially if you're a short guy, make sure you start to learn another language. Because if you can learn another language, you will be set ahead of everybody that does not know that language. Because even if you talk to a chick in like Vietnam and she speaks English pretty well, there's going to be parts of her personality that you don't quite connect to on a deep, deep level unless you start to learn the language. Like for everybody, they're able to represent their personality deepest in their native tongue. So even if you can start to learn a word a day, a single word a day, by the end of the year, you're going to know 365 words. That's enough for basic sentences. It's been said that if you want to have, like a 90% comprehension of English, you only need like 10,000 words because people use the same simple words for everyday conversation. And that's essentially what you want with these chicks. You want to be able to connect with them, show them that you care, and show them that you're willing to put in the effort. Because it's true, as short men, we have a disadvantage in height, which a large number of women in the world find very attractive. And there's actually, tons of reasons behind that, such as back when we were cavemen. The larger cavemen usually had the, advantage in representing and winning battles to win the females, and they had a better chance of taking home meat, taking down the prey of the wild, such as mammoths, tigers, whatever animal they're trying to take down back when we were cavemen. And these days, we don't have that physical fight in us, most of the time, but for women, that's still an instinctual thing. So in order to overcome that, which luckily we can as men, we have to start showing that we are, kings of the jungle in different ways, in terms of personality, in terms of confidence, in terms of knowledge, in terms of finance is a huge one, as we discussed earlier. That's another, big area that you need to conquer. What you have to realize is that women don't think like men do. Women are all about feelings and many times instincts. And we might look at a woman and say, oh, she's really beautiful, I want her. She'll take care of my house. She'll cook and take care of the kids. And that's kind of what we instinctually want, because we want to be hunters. We want to be, business leaders. We want to be part of, a tribe of people, aka a company that has a mission, that has a goal, and we feel accomplished by that. But women, if they see a man, yes, they want a handsome man. They want the best genes for their children, but they don't look at it as critically. They look at the whole package, and it does happen very quickly. So things like fashion are important. Wearing clean clothes are important. They're going to look at your hygiene. Do you smell good? Are you clipping your nails? Do you have a good haircut? What kind of job do you have? Is it a high-paying job? Is it a low-paying job? Are you going to have time with the family, or are you just going to be away? Are you confident? Are you a leader to others? And so for men, it's almost primarily based on looks. And for women, it's also looks. But you do have the chance to overcome that as a man, which as a woman, that's much more difficult to do. Not many men care much if a woman is a millionaire, or if she's, has a full-time career or something like that. Sure, it's great. I would rather have a woman that has a job than, just being like a hoe or something. But it's not the most important in terms of overall building a family and creating, a unit within, what you want for your life. So I think that's the first episode, guys. If you're short, don't feel down about it. Be proud of it. You were made perfectly the way you are, but that also doesn't mean that you need to stop improving yourself. I want you to get into the gym. I want you to start, losing weight if you're a little overweight. The thing I always say is the only thing worse than being short is being short and fat. So make sure you're running. You've got some kind of athletic endeavor that's keeping, your pounds, your kilograms low. Because, again, you want to be the best version of you. Whether you're tall or short, that's kind of going to be the same advice, because there's certain things that we can't really control. Another thing is nutrition, making sure you're eating right, eating healthy. That's a huge, huge area that we're going to dive in on some future videos. And I'm really excited to start this channel with you guys. I want to know, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Put those comments down below and smash that subscribe button. All right. Have a great day. Bye.